and then just the race on Sunday.
You
It's
ready
race
to talk
day.
about some Formula One?
Absolutely. Do I get into it?
Let's get into it. Into it.
Welcome back. It's the Back Markers Pontiac, record
All
scratch.
right, all
It's the
right. You
Back
can't.
Markers Austrian Pontiac Grand Prix-view here for you.
All right. Okay. You get redemption on that one.
Thank you. We're still new. We're still figuring this shit out, you know.
Yeah. You can do the intro however you want to do the intro.
That is true. That is true. We hopefully are making people tune in because we have been getting some hate online finally. Have we made it?
Is this what you're looking forward to? This is why you're in charge of the social media thing.
I'm
This is
so
why
excited.
I stay away.
We
You just want to make people angry on the internet.
Well, not only just me, you have now started to get some as well too. We're
Oh,
both getting
great!
it.
This is exactly what my psyche needs. All right,
it's fun stuff. It's all in good fun. It's
right.
friendly. It's friendly banter so far, I would say. But
Did they not
yeah.
like what I said about the Europeans?
No, actually, not regarding that whatsoever.
Okay.
They're more stunned that you have Miami listed as the best Grand Prix that has happened so far this season.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. So that was fun. I posted our rankings today and or earlier today, yeah, and they were like, Miami, what? And then someone said throw Bennett out.
I didn't have Miami ranked. See, I don't
You
even
sure
know.
did.
All right.
You said it. I double checked because I remember asking. I was like, "Really, Miami?" And you're like, "Oh, absolutely." I'm like, "Hey, fair enough.
I just
Absolutely."
remember that. Okay, to be clear, I just remember that awesome sequence of Max holding up holding up Oscar and Lando.
Yeah,
That was awesome. That was
it
20
was.
laps of fucking awesome racing.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with your take. Our top four were the same. I didn't realize this in the time. We had it in reverse order. So I had Miami 4 where you had it as 1. I had Australia 1, you had that
See,
4, and we flipped Spain. Like they're all right there in my mind.
but
I felt like those
in
were the top grouping of the races so
to
far.
continue my defense,
Yeah.
I was also just trying to have it not be chalk with exactly what you had. So flying blind into a segment is like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're I'm trying to create I guess I am trying to create a stir on the internet. Whatever, man.
Hey, mission accomplished. We're doing really good at that.
They didn't really hate it because nobody emailed us at backmarkersf1pod@gmail.com, right? So
That is a great point.
there we go. If you want to get to me, fucking take the time to send me an email.
Send an email.
Yeah,
I'm the only one reading
strongly
these
worded
comments.
letter. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not even on TikTok.
People did not like my take on the arm wrestle handshake.
Honestly, I did not either.
Hand up, I'll admit that's probably something that I only care about, but I do care about that. The first comment when I posted about that was, I think this might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard to change F1.
Yeah, I'm not going to stoop that low, but I think you maybe should have stretched a little bit before you reached that hard. I was worried you pulled a muscle.
Fair enough. But I mean, I was also told to take my meds, so you know what? Maybe I need to take something. I don't know. We'll find out.
Damn. Well,
We're
I
causing
think that
stirs, though. I think that means we're making it right now. That's all.
we're making something.
If people didn't care, they wouldn't say anything. So there's some sort of care to it. I appreciate
but they
that.
didn't care enough to email us. So
True. Well,
did they really care?
Baby steps. We gotta crawl, and then we gotta walk, and then we could run.
All right. Well,
I'd say we're right between that crawl walk.
Yeah, if you hate everything that we're saying and want to send us death threats, it's backmarkers, f1pod@gmail.com.
We will pay more attention then.
I don't know about that much more attention, but we'll see.
Fair enough.
One way to find out.
Make yourself stand out?
Not on a watch list. Are you ready to talk about Austria? Because I feel like Austria has the potential to negate all of our rankings
Absolutely.
from last weekend and hopefully make us sound better.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
I
think this
love
should
that
just be a
track.
weekly thing that we do now where we just update that. But Austria, you asked me at one point in time before we even started this what my favorite track is. And I think I might have said Austria or had it in the mix.
Yeah,
Austria is such a great track. I love
I
this
think you
track.
did too. I think
Mhm.
you did too.
This track is awesome. I'm very excited for it. And boy, howdy, has a lot of stuff happened since we recorded this week, earlier this
It
week.
has?
Oh yeah, it has. There's been a lot of some fun, juicy headlines. Which one do you want to get started with?
I don't know any of them, so let's go.
Have you caught up on the Sebastian Vettel talk?
I don't know how to read. What are you
Well,
talking about?
I will put it to you this way. There have been some serious discussions of Sebastian Vettel being the heir apparent to Helmut Marko at Red Bull.
That
And
would be a
boy,
good thing.
you've got Verstappen backing Vettel too. Headline reading, there's always space for Seb over the possibility of him coming in that advisory role that Marko has been serving.
Oh, will he have to give up half the light of the world to save the world? Little Wheel
So
of
long as
Time reference for these people.
I
You're
didn't
not
recognize
cultured. It's
that. I was
fine.
gonna say as long as it
Sorry.
doesn't hurt the bees, I think he'll be okay with it.
There we go. There we go. I was making a joke about Helmut Marko missing an eye, but
Ah,
yeah.
there you
So
go.
it's okay. Little bit of I've been reading too much. I don't know how to read now,
That's not a
so let's
problem.
keep it moving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
let's keep
we'll, we'll ignore that contradiction. But yeah, back so Sebastian joining, I mean, would that keep Max? Is that enough of a pull for him? Like what I mean, that could open up a lot of different things for them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the world is a better place with more Sebastian Vettel in it, and I
Mhm.
don't feel like that's a controversial statement at all.
Absolutely not.
I think that, honestly, I was hoping you were going to say he was going to be in the running for FIA president,
Ooh.
because I did see like his name in the news or whatever, but I didn't
Mhm.
see any like context or anything for it. Um, so yeah, if he replaces Marco and Marco's got to go, let's do it. But do you think um, Horner sticks around in that case?
I think that would give him a better chance of sticking around. That's like just
Yeah,
bringing in more of like his guys at that point in time,
yeah, I'd agree with
right?
that. I'd agree with that.
Because I would imagine it was Horner who kind of picked Vettel to come in through the program or through the ranks to some degree in the first place.
No, it
Then
was Marco
obviously they
because
had their
Marco was the young development driver program.
okay.
It was basically the division of it, from my understanding, is Marco handles the drivers. Um, what's his fuck? The other guy whose name I just said.
Horner.
Horner, thank you. Handles the day-to-day operations of the team and
Yeah.
the functioning of the car. Um, so, I mean, I think that would be a good division of labor and set things up for success. But
Mhm.
I don't want any success for Red Bull. I just would be happier. I don't know if Sebastian Vettel,
It's not
fucking
the red team.
chief strategist for Ferrari would be a better job for him. But I don't know.
I mean, it makes more sense for him to go to Red Bull in my mind. That's where he started. It's Austrian. He's German. Like it's closer ties that way. I think it would be very exciting to see him back in the mix and try to bring this up. I mean, honestly, because the young drivers that we have seen come out of Red Bull haven't been like, the cream of the crop as they probably were hoping for more so. Maybe
I
that's
mean,
something like you just need him to
since
come in to
when
help
though?
out with it.
How are we gauging that? Like,
You had Sebastian
because
Vettel and Max Verstappen come through the ranks, Daniel Ricciardo. Like you've had some pretty good winners come through.
you've had Carlos Sainz, you've had
Yeah.
Alex Albon, you've had Pierre Gasly,
Mm-hmm.
you've had Hajar, who we're both pretty big on, I feel
Yeah.
like. You've had Arvin Lundblad, the guy who's coming next year,
Mm-hmm.
who is not to be dismissed. Can't forget 24 Hours of Le Mans winner, or not winner, participant, and all around New Zealand legend, Brendan Hartley.
Mm.
Daniel Kvyat. He
Mm-hmm.
was also a
The
Red Bull young
torpedo.
driver. Yep. I mean, a lot of the grid has been shaped by that young driver program, but also the idea of a young driver program was kind of shaped by Red Bull.
And that's fair.
We do
that
as
that
much
like
as
second driver hasn't stuck yet, and maybe that's something
year.
where
not the last couple of years.
Yeah, I guess so, but I think that's maybe where that's where like Seb can kind of like take it into that next level of like, I've been through it. I know what they're like I've done the driving. Like this is exactly like what you need to do, maybe like, or to expect once you get into that seat. And this is like, as the number one, this is what I was expecting out of my number two. You know what I mean? Like maybe it just adds that extra little layer to it where they can like, hey, all these young drivers that we can now pair going forward to be the number one and the number two on our team, rather than finding that veteran.
But the
in the
guy
rough.
who's going to be number two does not think of himself as number two.
No,
right?
but
that's
where
why
Seb can maybe have a more like one-on-one understanding. Like, I've been here. I was the driver. I proved myself as the number one. Like, you want to do that, this is how you do that. You know?
I just think back to like Mercedes with Bottas. You know what I mean? They hired him specifically because he wasn't good enough to beat Lewis, but he didn't know that. You know, so he did his best. He did a good job. He fucking was a team player and went all out. And then they moved on from him when it was time to move on. You know, so I don't think the coaching of a number two and making a number one I don't believe in that. You know, not to be too Helmut Marko here. And just to that point, I think that, you know, Marko, as much as I am a Marko hater, deserves a little bit of flowers for like establishing that model of bringing youth into the sport and everything. But yeah, if he's replaced by Sebastian Vettel and we get more Vettel in the paddock, that's a good thing for all involved.
Fair enough. So I know we talked in the last episode about coaching trees. Maybe it's more like driver trees or like driver development trees that we should have been focusing more so on.
Yes and no. I see where you're going with this. I like it. I don't think that these institutions have been around long enough, right?
Okay.
Like Lando or Stoffel Van Dorn. You remember him? Also fucking 24 hours of Le Mans participant. Don't know if he won or not. He was a McLaren young driver. You know what I mean? I think he was one of the first McLaren young drivers to come through.
Okay.
So like the idea of everybody having a development program is a little bit too new almost.
Okay.
For that to be something that can be compared. You know what I mean? I think in terms of staying power, like we talked about, a decent sized chunk of the grid has had some Red Bull affiliation throughout their younger years. And that recognition of talent is not insignificant. You know what I mean? But I think as we get further into this program thing being the norm, it will become more of a shift of, like college, right? This guy went to such and such a school. This guy went to such and such a school. Like that kind of shaping and education as they go through it.
Gotcha. Fair enough. I like it. And it's fun to be able to see that like actually happen and develop out. You know what I mean? Like so much of like what we know about sports is like, well, that's just always existed that way, you know? So to be able to see something in this where we're still in the early days of like getting it like formed and meshed out and fleshed out and like what is it actually going to happen? Like that's actually kind of cool, come to think of it. And I didn't realize how relatively new that has been, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a newer phenomenon. It's not something that, you know, we've got decades and decades and decades of history with, you know? So it's pretty cool to see. You're right.
Well, fun to look forward to in the future here. What do you say we move on to the George Russell section of this program now?
there's a George Russell
There's
section
a
of this
George
program?
Russell section of this program. So
Because he
we've
doesn't
talked
have a
about
contract, right?
correct. It's about his contract. So we've talked about, what is Mercedes going to do? Do you keep George? Do you not keep George? He was asked about it going into the week here, and he talked a little bit more about what has been going on. He said that basically nothing has been pressed. No one's really talked about it or brought it up all that much with the contract situation for him since he's not signed past this year. But he did say that it would help if there was pen on paper regarding it. So I think it's more indicating that obviously George would like to stay with Mercedes. Toto has said that he's given them every reason to want to re-sign him, but him also winning in Canada here doesn't have any bearing on his future there. Do you know how he can perform too? If he's telling you all the reasons why he should be with you, he very much clearly wants to be with you, but you're not ready to do that yet. Is that a we're waiting to see what Max is going to do situation?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were talking about my relationships. Like, that's not fair to bring that up. No, I think it's very clear that he's waiting for Max.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's kind of waiting for Max. Like,
yeah,
I'd be fucking waiting for Max if I was Toto. I mean, I don't think that George would agree to a clause in his contract that says if Max becomes available or wants his seat, he gets the boot. You know what I mean? And they're most certainly not going to do it with Kimi Antonelli. So,
oh God, yeah, he's there for sure.
Yeah, I think, as goes Max, so goes the rest of the season and silly season. Have we had any kind of silly season updates yet? Has it gotten there?
It's been pretty tame so far. Still, nothing really has been said or talked about, or any moves have really been made. I mean, the biggest news that we've really had about driver market is coming out of Cadillac and speculating over what they want to do. Which there's some more speculation as to what they're going to do during this week as well. But yeah, nothing in regards to the 10 teams currently and actively on the grid as to what is actually going to happen. So
yeah, and if I'm George, I'm getting a big check from Cadillac. And I'm saying, all right, this is what they're going to offer me.
Mm-hmm.
What are you got?
Yeah.
So I don't know. At some point you got to take your own future into your hands and see what kind of cash you can get.
Right.
But I don't think that he wants to leave Mercedes. I don't think he wants to leave that seat.
No chance.
Especially with new regs coming in.
Yeah. No, if I would be doing the exact same thing he's doing, of very much want to be here, having a great time. Like, new regs should level out the playing field a little bit again, maybe give him that chance to fight for a championship here. Not to say he's not out of it. As we said last time, he's put himself back into a conversation. It's a far shot, but staying with Mercedes would be the better fit for him rather than going to Cadillac, who in all likelihood isn't going to be all that competitive these next 2 years or their first 2 years on the grid.
Yeah, it's a conversation, but it's not one that you share.
Right.
On a public forum that is broadcast on the internet.
Right. If I'm Cadillac, though, I would love to have George Russell in my car.
That's 1,000%. I am backing up the Brinks truck.
Very, very firmly in the beginning of his prime. Like, yeah, you give him everything. Like, it's way better than doing a Sergio Valtteri, 1-2 driver, which that's been kind of the murmurings I saw recently of they might be leaning more towards double experience, rather than another a young driver with experience,
So a washing machine and a dryer.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Stackable. Yeah.
Yeah. Bang, bang. Front loaders. So, I see.
But yeah, if you could get a George Russell in your car as a Cadillac, you've got a fantastic, solid driver for the decent future here who's going to have really good racing in front of him rather than somebody on the back end of your career, and can still give you a lot of input on what a good car is supposed to feel like.
No, and it's kind of the same thing that Audi's doing. You know what I mean? Like, they've got Bortoletto in the Sauber right now, and then Hulkenberg in the other seat. And I did not Valtteri is washed because he's not currently driving, but I don't think that he's as washed as Perez is, to be clear. I think, there we go. I still remember his Williams days. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yes, that was the most recent development in terms of silly season, if you will, which yeah, it's like the reverse of what happened last year where Lewis signs and it's like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Now everybody's like, okay, let's be a little more chill about this, and then
Yeah.
we'll play it out like maybe over the summer or something like that.
Yeah. And the other thing is I feel like people are locked in for the next set of regulation changes. I
Hmm.
feel like there's only going to be so much movement, and if anything, it's going to be, who gets the Cadillac seat, or who's there. And with George, I mean, because I don't think Max is going to leave unless, and this was the shot that I called earlier in the season,
Hmm.
unless he loses the championship and decides to retire because he's not the champion, which I
Hmm.
still think is a distinct possibility of happening, however small.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like, yeah, those are going to be the only two real dominoes, and they're probably going to stay standing up rather than falling,
Hmm.
if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, 100%. But yeah, dude, silly season's great. I love silly season. It's so ridiculous and just out of the blue every single year. Like it always feels like something where people, pundits, journalists, whoever, they're like, "Oh, we know it's gonna come," and then the first one falls, and you're like, "How did that happen?" You know what I mean? Like no
Yeah,
one ever expects to actually know what is going to happen here.
yeah.
Hmm. Other storylines going into the week here. Mercedes did win in Canada, so question's going to be, can they
What?
repeat that performance? I know, crazy, right?
That's
It
news to me.
it wasn't McLaren, it wasn't Red Bull. How is that possible? But so question for them is, can they repeat here at the Spielberg? And honestly, I this is something that I wish I knew a little bit more of is what teams or cars are like more suited towards like specific tracks every single season. Like the only relative idea that I knew prior to the current regs that we're in was Mercedes had the straight line power, Ferrari had the straight line power, and Red Bull was good in the corners where they could like kind of like that was kind of like their even playing field. So like a track where it mattered more about your cornering, Red Bull was going to be better at. When you had a track like Spain, like Mercedes was going to advance and excel because they had those big DRS zones where they could just pull away from everybody.
Mhm.
And that's something I really haven't kept up with the current regulations, nor did I really know outside of like what the top teams were kind of good at. So is this a track Mercedes could be good at? I honestly could not tell you. I don't have a clue. Do you have any inkling as to what the current cars are set up for different tracks? I don't know.
No.
Yeah, there we go.
So you're right in that some teams are good with higher speed corners, some teams are good with lower speed corners, some teams have success at long straights and and,
Mhm.
and all that stuff, and that's definitely the pattern. In terms of Austria, there's a lot of elevation change,
Mhm.
sharper corners, at
Yeah, for
least at the
sure.
beginning. Um, long, I don't know. Now I'm trying to do the lap in my head just with the onboard and everything. Um, yeah, I think it comes down at the end of the day to tire wear, their suspension setup, and who's going to be able. Because what now that I think about it, you come up, you have that long straight, and then you come back with almost switchbacks coming down the mountain in a way,
Mm.
until it comes back around to the front. So, um, yeah, I don't have any idea uh, who is going to be successful here, but I'd imagine that McLaren is probably going to be pretty dialed in the conversation.
I think that's a fair
Um,
statement.
and I have no hope for Ferrari as
Mhm.
usual. Um, so yeah,
Just pain.
well, just pain, just
Mamma mia.
sadness.
That's something honestly I always kind of forget about is the elevation change at these circuits
Mm-hmm.
because coming from more of a NASCAR background, they're ovals and the road courses are few and far between. So like when they were at Watkins Glen or Sonoma, like I didn't really notice that there were elevation changes when you're watching
Mm-hmm.
those ones on TV. So yeah, the ones at these circuits are crazy, like Austria, like Spa, for like I always forget about Austin, even for example, the big long up the hill. Like you see them climb, and you're like, oh my god, like I didn't know they had to do all that. Like I always forget about that part of it, and like how much of an effect that also plays on the race and like the cars and everything like that too. Just a fun little tangent,
Yeah,
little side.
no, definitely. And no, in that view at the Spielberg ring, like if I'm ever lucky enough to go there, I would like to be sat right at the top.
Yeah.
After turn 4, I don't know, the one where that's really sharp that comes back all the way around. That's where I want to sit.
That would be a good view.
Watch everything.
That would be. I think Austria is one of like the easier ones for more fans to go to as well.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly. Yeah.
So are you saying we're going next year, Derek?
We got a long list of the ones that we are. So yeah, we might as well add it on.
Yeah, there's like 24 races we need to get to.
Exactly. We got a big year ahead for us here.
I'm 23. I'm skipping Miami. I'm not going.
Why? You can't skip Miami.
I'm not going to Florida.
I'll go to Miami. I'll go to it. Miami.
I'm scared of Florida, man.
Ah, that's unfortunate. Florida Man stories are. Did you ever play that game where you search like a date and then Florida Man?
Yeah.
And then you read the headline.
I love that game.
Did you know that's a board game?
Actually?
Yes, I saw this at a Barnes and Noble, and it was called Florida Man, and it was like a little map you had to get from Miami to Tallahassee, and there was like I don't know like a few stops along the way, and the premise of the game was you had 3 headlines and you would read them, and it was like 2 truths and a lie. So you had to make one up, and then 2 of them were actually real, and you had to figure out which one, and they're absolutely hilarious because it's like that can't be real. Nope, it's Florida. That happened for sure.
No, dude, the one that I remember the most, the dude robbed a convenience store with an alligator.
Yeah,
like he had it just I think he stole beer. I don't like honestly like that.
All right, now put the case in his mouth.
You'll never catch me in Florida, bro. You'll never catch me in Florida. Not on purpose, anyway.
Let's see. Oh,
hopefully
that's right.
That qualifies as a good enough apology for thinking that Florida was the best race of the season. I don't know.
No, just stick to it. America, baby.
Yeah. All right.
This is our final weekend for Max Verstappen's suspension watch. So he needs to get out of this race cleanly to avoid being suspended.
I would love for him to get some penalty points, honestly.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
That'd be hysterically funny. Did you see there's the 24 Hours of Spa this weekend as well? And Max has a car that is racing.
Really?
He's the principal of the team.
That's awesome.
That's racing. I think it's an Aston Martin.
Sick.
But I think the conspiracy on the internet was that he booked it so that if he did get penalty points in Canada,
he could just go drive.
He'd be able to do the 24 Hours of Spa.
He's like, I'll stay busy. What's the fake name he went under?
Oh, Franz Hermann.
There it is, Franz Hermann's registered in this one, just in case.
Just shows up with a little mustache, just all twirled up. I can actually do that.
Can you really?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my god, dude! So this is a little unfortunate. It's a quick little tangent. At the for the Michigan football games, the last 2 or 3 years we've been in the same seats, and down our right, this dude has the best mustache I've ever seen in my entire life. He looks like he's our age. It is full and perfectly curled every single weekend. And the first time I saw it, I was like, literally before the game, I was like, look at that mustache. And I pointed out to everybody I was like, look at that dude's mustache. That's crazy. And then every time we had someone new, if I remembered or I saw him, I was just like, mustache guy, let's go. And I pointed out again. But we moved our seat, so I'm not going to see him now anymore. Unless he moved with us. I don't know. But shout out that dude. That mustache was absolutely crazy. Just like perfect. Curled right on up. I couldn't believe it. I have never seen anything like it.
So I was getting a haircut, and my barber trimmed my beard,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Hang on, I want to see something." He grabbed some hair gel. He like did it. The first time he
Mm-hmm.
did it, he curled it and like made it look like I was about to tie a woman to a train track. And that was like I was offended and I was horrified, but I was also like, okay, this is hysterical, and I'm glad I have this in my bag. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So if I ever look like if I ever want to look like I'm about to steal a train,
Mm-hmm.
I can.
We know you can do it.
Yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
can steal that train. I
That's a
could
good
make that
Halloween costume right there.
train thief.
Sure. Or just whatever gets a curled mustache.
I see. I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to look too French. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. Oh, could you do the Waluigi and just like
Wah!
yeah.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know if like I'm I don't think it's long enough.
Mm-hmm.
But like also like I don't want to like I don't know how I would do that. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Um,
Yeah, that would require a lot of extra hair growth to go out that way. And I don't
yeah.
think you'd want to pull off that look of it going down to like the handlebar down to like your stomach or some shit like that.
Called the Fu Manchu, Derek. Come on, get it
Doesn't
right.
that have the goatee with it though?
I
You
think it
wouldn't be
does.
doing that.
Honestly, I was just trying to pull a name out
Fair
and be
enough.
smart. So
That's true. That's true. You're almost there. Let's see it. Let's see it happen.
for Halloween, I is it okay? Since we've digressed into facial hair,
Hmm.
is it a lazy Halloween costume to just throw on a jersey?
I don't think so. Because it's good in a bind. Like, and
Yeah.
you're doing something, while
Yeah.
it's
All right.
it's it's relatively easier for like a sports fan to do that because it's like, well, I just have these anyways. I don't know. I'm not at the age in life where I wear a jersey just casually. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. No,
Like
and that's the question.
yeah, like when I was a kid, elementary school or so, like I wore jerseys pretty regularly, but I feel like that was fair at that time.
Yeah.
Once you got a little older, it was like, I need to wear a jersey like every day.
Yeah.
You grow
See,
out of it eventually.
I've got piston socks that are still
Hmm.
professional work attire. So I wore them yesterday and today, and also the day that any Pistons games or whatever. Like
Sure.
I always love rocking the Piston socks. So
Well, that's different. That's not a jersey. It's professional socks. Like, hey, what do you want me to do? I have to wear socks.
yeah,
They can be piston socks. That's part of like growing up and like being a dude. It's like you get fun socks now. That's how you express
honestly,
your personality.
this is hell world. Socks are the only form of self-expression that one can have.
Or starting a podcast.
I I I heard somebody say that the barrier to entry to starting a podcast is too low, and I agree with them. Like as someone who now has to identify as a guy with a podcast, like it should be harder to do this. Like it's I don't know. I this is yeah, no. And you're yeah, no, I got too much to say about that.
Fair enough. How about we get into some stats and history for you then here on Austria?
Yeah, let's cover the actual topic of the program.
Perfect. Alrighty, so we will start with the first Grand Prix. The first Austrian Grand Prix was in 1964 at Zeltweg, which I don't know where that is, if I'm being quite honest.
Bless you.
Fair enough. Gesundheit. Most pole positions. You have a long list of names you can choose from here. Who do you think has had the most pole positions for the Austrian Grand Prix?
You said since 64?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I part of me wants to go with just like a deep cut like name of a guy. I don't even like have a prediction. Um Fuck it, Niki Lauda?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
He's one of 5 on this list.
Wait, 5 people have the most pole position, so it's a
Yes.
5-way tie. Okay, so
Yep.
hang on.
Okay.
Hang on. Lauda.
Yep.
Let's just cross off Schumacher and Hamilton.
No.
No, neither of those.
Neither.
Okay, awesome. Sebastian Vettel?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Jean Alesi?
No.
No. Hakkinen?
Nope.
Fucking James Hunt?
Nope.
That wouldn't make sense, but fuck it, I give up.
So of the 5, you guessed Niki Lauda, Rene Arnaud,
Okay.
Nelson Piquet,
Okay. Should have guessed that.
Max Verstappen,
Oh, well, the one fucking contemporary guy I don't guess. Okay.
and this one might shock you, Valtteri Bottas.
Good for him.
They all have 3.
They all have 3. Okay.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of crazy?
I guess that would make sense that there are so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. I'm just double checking your math. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Checks out. That's crazy.
A lot of people, but in very much a variety too, just because of how few they all have. That's kind of cool. So with that, who do you think has the most wins at this track or at this race? Sorry.
At this race, not at this track, because the Red Bull Ring is generally
in the Austrian Grand Prix.
Grand Prix.
The Austrian Grand Prix, right. Who has the most wins?
Lauda. Let's keep it running.
No.
Mm-mm. No, Max.
Yeah, it's Max. He's got 4. Yeah, 4 wins here. Yep.
Good for him.
Good for him indeed. Shout out Max. Alrighty. This is just some fun trivia here for you. The Red Bull Ring has the fewest corners on the F1 calendar, with only 10 turns making out the entire layout.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
10 turns. I wonder what the average is. What do you think? Like 13, maybe 14?
Probably 15.
15?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, because somewhere in the 20s.
That was going to be my question: is are there any? Do we know of any 20-turn circuits? I bet Baku probably would be 20.
I think it's Spa.
Spa also does. I mean, it is massive. That would make sense.
I don't know. Now I'm second guessing myself.
Australia might.
Okay.
That has a lot of them in there. Monza can't have much more than 10, though.
No, Monza does not have many turns.
Right?
Yeah.
I guess if you asked me, I would have probably told you that probably has the least.
Except Austria does.
Like, exactly. But prior to knowing this now.
I'm glad you're looking up the stats here.
Yes. Overtakes completed in... Oh. Hold the phone. Buffeting.
All right, you just missed my excellent prop comedy there, but
I did. Hold on.
You did.
I might have been looking at last year's information, so hold on. Hold the phone.
I'm not doing it again.
That's fine.
All right.
Oh, we were looking at last year's information. So a few things have changed. Mainly, the most pole positions is now solely awarded to Max Verstappen with 4, and he has 4 wins. It still has the fewest corners, and yep, here we go. This is the information I was really looking for. Last year, 2024, it had 85 overtakes. The year before had 105 in 2023. This year, it's a safety car probability is going to be 38% with a virtual safety car of 50%. So more likely than not, clean race, which does make sense. There's a lot of room on this track, a lot of overtaking zones, and a lot of runoff areas where guys can abandoned passes and whatever type of stuff. So that kind of makes sense, I would say, that it has a lower safety car probability on this one.
There's also a bit more runoff too, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Last 5 winners here. The last 4 Max with Bottas before that in 2020. So there's that for you.
It's a shocker.
Oh, sorry, that's poles. I apologize. I mean, I'm way off tonight. The last 5 pole positions. Max has the last 4, Bottas in 2020. Your last 5 winners. Russell won last year, Max in 23, Leclerc in 22, Max in 21, and then Bottas in 2020. So a lot more variety on that actually than
this
what
was
pole position says.
No, this was they did Red Bull Ring twice in 2020, I think.
They did, so that would have been the most recent of the Red Bull rings. Yeah, because I remember Bottas winning that one actually. Because he like the first thing he did was he pulled his mask down so he could drink champagne after he won. I do recall that actually. So there you go. So that completes our stats and history. What do you say we get into our fantasy picks here?
I forget how this works, so let's do it.
We'll recap here for you then, and I'm going to actually make sure we do this right and not get lost in the snake this time.
Can't get lost in the snake.
So, we are going to do the driver head-to-head matchups.
We immediately fucked it up.
Immediately, yeah. So we're going to do driver head-to-head matchups. We're going to take turns picking teammates to beat their drivers. We each get 5 picks. Once a teammate pairing has been selected, it is off the board completely. You won last time, so you will get to make the first selection. Then I will make my first and second selection. Then you 2 and 3, so on and so forth down the line here. So with that, let me get the notepad up so I don't get lost in the snake. And we will go ahead and get started. So for the Austrian Grand Prix, your first pick, your 1-1 overall, which driver matchup would you like to take?
Building suspense here.
I think we're all waning.
I'm going to say Max.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Max over Yuki for sure.
Sorry,
I feel like until something like big changes there, I don't see that not being the 1-1 pick for us here going forward. And honestly, I think that's to be expected, especially here. Obviously, we just heard that Max has been on pole the last 4 years. He's won 4 times at this track too. It's very much one I think he enjoys and is very good at. And I mean, it's the Red Bull ring. Like Red Bull is going to be competitive here, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But with that, maybe that means better things for Yuki though this week too.
Fingers crossed, man. I would love to be wrong. I would love to see Yuki get his first win.
Oh wow, that'd be a thing.
No,
How about a podium first?
That would be awesome. Still don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, I could see top 10 still out of him for the weekend.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's the most likely of those 3 things.
Right. Yeah. I bet you we see him get back on track, a Q3 appearance.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a P8 out here this time.
And he's had his performance improve. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was better because like the last 2 races he had some kind of frustrating penalties that he has had to deal with. And I think that I think there's a better shot than not of him putting in a top 10 performance.
Right. So, yeah, I think this should be a strong weekend overall for Red Bull, honestly. Just given that it is their home race, home track, and everything like that, it should be one that they're in the mix with, especially with Max out front. Alrighty, now I get to go. All right, I get to do
twice.
I get to go twice. You are correct.
All
I
right,
get to do.
There we go.
Let's see.
You're looking at stats. I'm going off the dome.
I'm not even looking at the stats. I'm just looking at all the team pairings again, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm gonna avoid that part of this lineup here, and I. This feels harder this week for some reason. Last week I had way better confidence in my picks overall, and this week I just don't feel the same way. Things have changed greatly for me. I'm gonna take Fernando.
Ah,
I'm gonna take
stole my
Fernando.
pick.
Fernando over Stroll. He's been in great form the last couple weeks or race weekends, obviously getting points in both of them there. We're seeing more of the Fernando I think we were all expecting. Again, he had the terrible luck at the beginning of the season. Um, Lance, I still don't know what we really can expect out of him. I don't know if the wrist is still bothering him, if what's really going on. It just doesn't feel like this is a Lance Stroll season where he's going to be relatively close to Fernando if
He's doing
Fernando
his
doesn't have
best.
bad luck.
He's doing his
Yeah,
best.
again, maybe he's also just waiting for the regulations next season. I mean, Adrian knew he's going to design that car, so that should change a lot of things. But
Oh yeah, he'll get his next podium.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Would that be the biggest gap between podium finishes?
No,
It'd be
because I
up
think that
there.
was Fernando.
Really?
I think that was
Hmm.
Fernando. I don't know what the biggest gap between podium finishes is. Let me look it up while you take your second pick.
Fair enough. Yes. Let's see. With my second pick, give me Hadjar over Lawson.
Okay, yeah, that's a good choice.
I'm
It's
I'm
a
gonna go
very
with
good
that
choice.
one. Yeah. Again, we're fans of Hadjar for sure. Um, I don't think Liam really has all of that still, to say the least. So, yeah, I'll still take that. I very confident in what Hadjar has been able to do this season. I know last week he had a rougher performance, still finished ahead of Lawson though, so that was good to see there. Yeah, I think we could see them get back on form though. Again, Red Bull Junior team, you're at Red Bull Ring. I would say it's a track that Hadjar can probably compete for points in, and I hope that's true.
Definitely. Um,
Alrighty.
so apparently, according to a 2020 article from F1.com,
Okay.
the longest gap between podiums is Alex Wurz,
Hmm.
um, who was 7 years, 9 months, and 11 days, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
I think Kevin Magnussen would eclipse that if he were to get a podium because he got a podium in his first race.
Okay.
And then Nico Hulkenberg has never gotten a podium.
Yeah, so there's no
So
gap. It just hasn't happened.
that's yeah. So I think he's still the longest tenured driver without a podium
Yeah,
in the sport currently
absolutely. Oh,
of current
100%.
guys.
I
I
think that's
don't.
just all time, too.
I no. It can only be current if you're currently driving. I don't know if it's all time because there were some guys that never got a podium, but also there are more races. I don't want to get into the technicals of
Nitty-gritty
that.
of it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fair enough. Yeah.
Who did you pick again? Because I was out. You picked
Yes.
Fernando and
I've
stole
got
him from me,
Fernando
you
over
bastard.
Stroll, and then I have Hadjar over Lawson.
Okay, those are two pretty good picks. I don't want to take the gap between Oscar and Lando here because I think Oscar's gonna win.
Hmm.
Um, I don't want to take Charles Lewis. Oh, I'm taking two, right? Because
Yeah,
that's
you
the
have
next
you have
draft.
your second and third
Oh,
pick here.
all right, this is gonna be tough. Let's go with unfortunately Charles over Lewis.
You want Charles over Lewis? Okay.
I think Charles over Lewis. And I'm also can't believe you took the Aston Martins from me. I'm so mad at you. Also going to take Gasly over Doohan. Or not Doohan.
Colapinto.
Yeah, whatever.
The second
The other
Alpine.
One. The other
yes.
One. I didn't mean to be that dismissive, but a little bit dismissive.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, that was one I was debating with my picks. There was Gasly. The problem with me for that one though is like Alpine. While Gasly is a better driver by far, the car still isn't all that great, and so like he has that freak one every now and then where it's like, oh shoot, he's gonna be competitive here this weekend, but I don't know. My gut says no, which is probably wrong, which means you'll probably get a lot of points out of it and have a good time out of the weekend here. But Ferrari, aside from the sprint race, has Lewis finished ahead of Charles this year? I don't think he has.
I want to say yes, but I don't believe myself. Honestly, I do not like this pick. To be clear, like I would consider myself a Lewis guy. I'm a Ferrari guy. I don't like this at all.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I don't like this at all. Ooh,
what?
All right, let's keep it moving. I came up with a better pick.
Well, let's see if I take that here from you.
Yeah, you're probably gonna.
With my third pick, I'm gonna take George over Kimi.
Okay, all right.
Going off the same theory of Kimi hasn't beat George yet in a race, I think that trend will continue going into here. George is coming off the momentum of Canada. He won last year, as we found out too.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a track he's familiar with and comfortable with. And again, he doesn't have the contract. Obviously, still wants to stay.
He wants to get paid.
Wants to get paid by Mercedes and be a Mercedes driver. Can't blame him for that. So yeah, I think that continues here for him. And I mean, Mercedes, this is probably the closest thing to their home track too. There's no German Grand Prix, so Austria is probably your next best option. So,
man, I miss Hockenheim.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't see why they can't be competitive here at this track. Again, the top four has gotten a lot closer here, I would say. George being the fourth winner on the track, Ferrari is definitely going to get a win at some point in time. Maybe they can break through here this weekend. We'll see how they can do, but yeah, you never know. With that, I have my fourth pick to make here, and I am gonna go with Hulkenberg over Bortoleto.
Okay, safe pick.
Yeah,
safe pick.
And yeah, I mean it's the kick. It's fine. Again, we've seen Nico pull that car up to places that it shouldn't belong. Bortoleto has been driving better as of recently, though, too. So we'll give him credit where credit is due on that. But it's still the Sauber, and I'll take the experience over the rookie here any day. When it comes to these two guys, Nico definitely knows what the hell he's doing and knows how to get more out of decent to crappy cars.
There you go.
So there you go.
Good pick. You did not take mine. I'm incredibly surprised. I am taking Alex Albon over Carlos Sainz.
That's fair. Sainz did get the advantage last week, and there's been more back and forth there. Granted, it has favored Albon so far this season, obviously.
I don't really like this either.
I don't hate the pick, but yeah, we're getting down to the last couple where it's like it's kind of the toss-ups now where we're at in terms of what we're doing here with these picks. But Albon over Sainz is not a bad pick, I don't think at all. I think that's more of it's not a 50-50 in my mind. It's more of like a 65-35, and that's enough for me still not to want to take them before like the fourth or fifth round anyways.
Yeah, I gotcha. And that leaves me with the last team, right?
There's two teams left. Haas or McLaren.
Oh. I'm going with McLaren because I can't think of the drivers for Haas. Like I can't remember their names.
Fair enough.
Sorry, that team is so insignificant to me. that I
Fair
think
enough.
I'm picking Oscar.
Yeah, I would imagine you're probably thinking Oscar's going to win, which of course would make him finish above Lando here again. Yeah, this will be a battle at the front. So in terms of the way we're going to do our points, you're probably hoping for at least a 2-place finish, I would say, over Lando here for this one. And yeah,
Or
McLaren should be at the front.
maybe he tries to pass up the inside
Right
of a
on the grass
wall
again.
and smack his car into a fucking immovable object. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot last weekend wasn't the first time he tried to cut on the grass, like cut the grass.
Yeah, I mean he's not good. He's just not good. Sorry.
Sainz was talking about Norris's struggles, and he was saying from his vantage point and from his conversations with Norris is that he hasn't had the same comfort level in the car as he has last year, and he followed that up by saying, which is really unfortunate because you're competing for a championship this year.
Yeah.
So it's like I know Sainz wasn't trying to like, you know, insult Lando to some degree, but at the same time, like, man, it's a really bad year to not be comfortable and confident.
Yeah,
It's kind of like what he's essentially saying.
Great quote. Great quote there. All
Yeah,
timer.
100%. But I kind of want to go back to the Williams topic here because they've been on a little bit of a downturn here. Do you think that's just part of their choosing to no longer develop the car?
Yeah.
And it's finally like they're just like, yeah, no, we're done. Like, and it is what it is. We'll see what they can do with the car this every weekend.
Yeah, that's very much the vibe that I get from them.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of um, what might have happened for downturn and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of knew this was going to happen at some point where they were not developing the car, not bringing any upgrades, just working on 26. So yeah, this is really a big shock, but at the same time, it's not the news that we wanted to hear as they're starting to get even better and better, But
Sure.
who knows what next season is going to bring.
Right. And again, they signed Vowles to that long-term contract as we talked about in the last episode here. So they clearly have faith that he's doing the right things for the future, and his plan of, whatever happens this year happens. We don't really care what that means. I would argue if they were fighting for a championship, they might think differently, but clearly that's not where they're at. They're crushing the best of the rest at the moment, I would say. And they still might get that position, because Sainz still pulled out the points last week, 10th place, granted, but still it's another point added onto the tally. And, them and Haas and Racing Bulls and Aston Martin and on the rarest of occasion, I would say Alpine are still going to be able to mix it up with the last place finishing points, I would say. So, they might be in a good enough position where they're going to be able to take home fifth and not really have to worry about it the rest of the year anyways.
One can only hope.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that leaves us with the Haas pick, and I think I'm going to take Ocon over Behrman. In terms of form, his form has been better than Behrman here, but I
going for experience across the board.
Yeah, I'm taking experience here for sure. I wouldn't be shocked if Ali did end up ahead of Ocon here, but yeah, it's just as of late here, Esteban's been the better driver, and I don't know. I'm gonna continue to ride that here as I have with my other picks.
There we go.
So yeah, there we go. There's a preview for the drivers and the teams and what we think is going to happen there. Let's go ahead and get into our picks here for the race weekend. Your race winner.
Mine or yours?
Yours.
Oscar.
Yeah, that's fair.
And are you I feel like I should have gone with Max. I feel like I should have gone with George.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think Oscar is going to be that guy and proves that he's going to be the championship winner this season.
Fair enough. I think that's fair. Kind of tips my hat a little bit. I'm going to go with Max here for this weekend. I'm going to take the hometown guy.
He's Dutch.
Well, it's the Red Bull home track, though.
You win on a technicality.
There's the orange fan section every single race here now.
There's an orange fan section a lot of places. Have you seen Spa?
Yes, I have. But I think they show up a little bit harder for Austria just because it is the Red Bull team. So I don't know.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Fair enough.
What's the over/under on us being able to see through orange smoke? That's the real betting line I want to take.
See what, like actual distance or cars on track?
Anything other than orange smoke?
Not high. If you're there. I'll take my aerial camera from the helicopter though, or the drone as a better chance on TV.
They're not cool enough for a blimp.
Yeah, exactly. Your winning margin selection: under 5, between 5 and 10, or over 10.
Between 5 and 10, let's say. Let's
you like
get
between?
Risky. Yeah, I don't really like it, but I would love to see it. How's that?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have not looked at the times from previous races on what those gaps are, if I'm being honest. So, it wouldn't shock me though, like a 6-second win here. It wouldn't. But I'm gonna go with the under. I think I like the under on this one. It for everything with some of the gaps between some of the other cars here. If anybody outside of McLaren wins, I think they're gonna have a McLaren on their ass to win for that reason. And if it is a McLaren win, both of them again should be at the front, and they should be pretty close to each other. So I think I'm going to stick with that more often than not for these predictions here.
And that's a good way of thinking. That's smart logic. I'm here for the vibes.
Oh, I get it. And again, if you've been tailing our picks at all, Ben knows wheel. Eric does not know wheel. So if you're going to follow anybody, tail that man, fade this guy right here. And then let me pull up the line real quick for classified finishers. I'm going to guess it's 18.5, though. That seems to be pretty standard here, except for like probably a Baku or Monaco, where they're like, it's pretty tight quarters out there. It probably should be under that, but I'm going to guess it's going to be 18.5. Give me 1 second, and I'll get this pulled up for us here.
You're right. And hey, if you are a gambling company, send us an email, backmarkersf1pod@gmail.com.
Absolutely. We will gladly plug your platform here and then use it. If we aren't already, we might be. You don't even know.
I don't know.
Alrighty. Racing lines for the Formula One Grand Prix in Austria. Oh, that's new. They have team props. Race props. Our line is set at 18.5. Ooh, it's actually an even line this time for 18.5 here. Both the over and the under have the same odds on the platform that I'm currently looking at. So, classified finishers, over under 18.5. What are you thinking here?
Under.
Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh. I love it. I'm going over.
Okay, you can be wrong.
I probably will be.
No.
I thought for sure you're going to say over for some reason.
No, I'm feeling 17.
Feeling some chaos
for whatever
here?
Reason. Yeah. I don't know about chaos. I mean,
more Mercedes power unit fails?
Yeah, or an Alpine strange electrical thing is their lap down.
Fair.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
100%. Very, very, very reasonable. Very possible for sure. Yeah, I like it. Hopefully, again, it's Austria. I love Austria. Austria's a great track. It's a great race. We're going to see some sort of fun action out there between some sort of cars or levels of cars. Hopefully for race leads. That's always the most exciting one to watch. But this is just such a great racetrack. I absolutely love it. Yeah. And in the game, oh my God, it's so much fun to drive too.
Definitely a favorite of mine to drive on a sim for sure.
100%. Well, that's all I got for us here this weekend preview. What about you? Anything else you wanted to cover here for the race?
No, honestly. Let's look forward to a good one.
Love it. The hills are alive with the sound of music. Or race cars if you're us.
No, that's music, brother.
There we go. Alrighty, well, that who's our Austrian Pontiac Grand Prix-view there. Got it right on the tail end for you. We'll see you after the race.